let me see. So I did see a thing about asking about the fingerings, and I can go back. I will definitely add some fingerings later. But a really common thing that I do is anytime I'm going, say, from the 4th to the 5th, I'll stay on the finger because we're bridging across, right? So we're bridging across. We're going across the strings this way. I'll always either go pinky and bridge across this way, or 2. Usually not 5 to 1. I'm usually going to go to the root on my 2nd finger. Okay, well, pretty much always, unless I'm shifting up in a different way. So I'll usually go 5-1, and I'm in the key of C, so G C or G C. If I'm going for my pinky, I'll always go to my 2nd finger, unless I'm doing some kind of odd shift. Then 4-1, 3-1. Okay, so let me go back to this. Yeah, take 2. Okay, I see it. Excellent. So we're just gonna keep practicing because I want to keep this going. Fortunately, this is now gonna mess with my metronome settings. So let's see how this goes. Okay, so I'm gonna get back to it. Here again, just one more time, we have this going on. We're going to talk about the major triads, and this is the concept. We're about to do it to all the keys, okay? But we're going to start in the key of C. We're doing our range from E, low E, open E, to G at the 12th fret. Okay, so anything that falls inside of the triad in between there, we're doing that. 1 3 5, 1 3 5, 1 3 5. Except in this case, since we're in C, we're going to start on low E and work our way up. This is kind of how we get those drops and skips. Those type of things. So those are really important for bass players. And of course, our job as bass players is to really be cool with the roots, what the 3rd is, what the 5th is especially. So those have to be super under our fingers. So I'm just going to rehash. We're going to go, we're going to do quarter notes. We're at 90 beats per minute. If you have your bass out, please practice this with me. We're going to go low to high 2 times through, then we'll take a minute, and then we'll come back down, high to low, okay? So I'm going to pull this. So try it with me. This is the C major triad. We're going to be starting on E, going up to G, back down. So 1, 2, 3, go. 4, 4, open. So we're only going to go up to G for all of these, okay? But now let's flip it really quick. We're going to start on G and go down. Ready? So 1, 2, 3, go. G, E, C, G, E, C, G, E. Okay? Is that cool with everybody? Excellent. So now we're going to move on and try. We're going to eventually take this around the cycle of fourths. So how we're going to do this, if we go around the cycle of fourths, our next key is F, right? So F, A, C. We're keeping the same parameters. We're only going to stay inside of E and G. So in this case, we're going to start on the root. But for instance, if we said we were jumping to B flat, D, F, well, F would be the lowest one, so we're going to play F down here and go to F up here. Just keeping our everything tight inside the bass area of the bass for right now. You can definitely go up higher, do this as much as you want, speed this up, but let's try the F major triad, okay? So 1, 2, 3, go. So 4, 4, 4, 4, 1, 4, and I'm talking about my fingerings here. 4, 4, open, F. Let's flip it, okay? So let's do it descending, okay? So 1, 2, 3, go. Again. Cool? So let's first, just for fun, let's do that same thing. Let's go up and back down. Let's try it in eighth notes. Then we'll do the descending, okay? So F. So 1, 2, 3, go. Now descending, so flip the idea. 2, 3, go. Okay, cool. All right, so let's try this now. We're going to move on into going through the cycle of fourths. So we're just really quick here is what this is going to look like. Realize this might be a little bit small on the screen that you're seeing, but here's C that we had just done. You see this odd meter here just because they don't all add up to the same length. So we're going to move on from one key to the next, trying to do it without stopping. So we've got C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, etc. But that's the concept. So for instance, if we're in D flat, F is going to be our lowest note down here, right? Our highest note will be F up here. If we're in, B, F sharp will be our lowest note, right? Okay, cool. So hopefully all of that is going well. I'm going to pull this back down, and we're going to try practicing this, okay? So hopefully you can still hear me and see me. I'm just going by the seat of my pants here, so thanks for bearing with me. Okay, so we're going to go through the cycle of fourths. We're going to start in the key of C, and we're going to go low to high and back down, just in quarter notes. Sound good? So let's try it. So here's the key of C. 1, 2, 3, go. Here comes F. F. Here comes B flat, so F, B flat. So it's like a second inversion, right? Now we're coming up, we're going to do E flat, first inversion. G is our lowest note that we can do, and G is the highest one we can do. A flat is coming up, A flat's the lowest one we can do. D flat, so F is our lowest one. G flat, or F sharp, whichever you prefer. Depends on the day. B natural is coming up, so F. There you go. Here comes E. First inversion, right? G. C at the end there. So hopefully that's working with everybody. If you have trouble doing that, or if that's a piece of cake, of course you can take that further really quickly. Up the speed, up the range. Constrict the range even, so like if you're just going across the bass in certain ways instead of up and down. Good fun thing to do. With all of these quarter notes, I'm trying to definitely think about long legato notes, the really clear attack at the beginning. So I'm trying not to do stuff like this. Just because that's not very conducive to walking a bass line or being a bass player, where we need to hear those long, sustained, fundamental, notes of the chord. So our job is really to make everything grounded and really clear. So you want to hit these notes, try for no vibrato, try to keep them really, really clean. So let's go through the cycle one more time, and let's see if we can do it in eighth notes this time. Sound good? So I've got my metronome here at 90 beats per minute. All right, so It's 90 beats per minute. We're going to go through the cycle starting in the key of C. We'll go through the cycle of fourths. Our range is from E to G. And if I'm not really watching the comments so much right now, but as we go along, especially after I'm done practicing, I'll definitely check out all the comments and try to address as much as possible, okay? So if you got your bass, let's try it. So we're going to do eighth notes. Everybody good? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, coming up G flat, B, coming up to E, A, D, G. Cool? All right, of course you can flip that too, so let's go ahead and do that now. Let's see if we can go high to low. I'm probably going to mess this up, but you know, it's just been a minute. So again, we're at 90 beats per minute. We're doing eighth notes. We're going to go through the cycle of fourths, just playing between the range of E and G. And we really, like, the more we do this, keeping the idea of the triads and fundamental stuff under our fingers, so important as bass players, okay? So let's try it. We're going to start on G, and I can provide PDFs of all this stuff too, going back. Of course, I'll send a link for that, or add a link underneath it, or have somebody at Open Studio do it. Cool. So let's try it. So here's C. So 1, 2, 3, and go. F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, coming up to B, E, A, D, G. Cool. Oh, I missed a note in there. I don't know which one I missed. Just trying to think about everything else going on. So that's the gist of the exercise that we're practicing. So if there's any questions about that, or you want to find some different ways to move along with that, please let me know. Add some stuff in the comments. Of course, we have 4 main triads that we're going to deal with. So there's major, which we were just doing, root, major third, fifth, perfect fifth, if you want to call it that, right? That's all it is, and then it recycles. The next most common one, of course, is minor, to where we do a minor third. So like say C to E flat to G, right? And through the range of the bass. That is another way to expand upon this exercise. So the way I like to group it, though, is thinking that C major, sure, if you go from C major to C minor, it's really closely related. But so is if we go from C major to C augmented, which is another one of our triads that we really need to have under our fingers. And that's C, E, augmented means the raised fifth, which also means that's an E augmented and an A flat augmented. They're all the same because they're interchangeable. They're all built on major thirds. It's symmetric like that, just like diminished. But so we can go from C major to C augmented. Gives it that movement, right? Do C major, C minor. And now, for me, the last triad, well, the last triad we're going to talk about here, there's chordal triads, there's other things you can do. But the last triad that we're going to do for these guided practice sessions is the diminished triad. And that's really closely related to the minor triad, right? So if we do C, E flat, G, all we have to do is change one note. So after we get those the minor triads under our fingers, all we have to do is think of flatting that fifth. Right? Okay, so the point, how I'm trying to group this is major shifting into augmented. It's really close by. So we just did all our major triads. Let's do the C major triad one more time. It's like this. Right? So all we got to do to make that augmented is change one note. It's really simple if we think of F. It's simpler to me if I think about it this way. So that's the point. So E, G sharp, C, E. So we're just changing one note, right? And then we end up doing that to all of the triads. Does that make sense? So once we get the majors under our fingers, we're moving that into augmented for the way that I conceptualize it. And then we do the same thing with minors. So let's practice our minors while we've got the metronome out. We've got that going, okay? So now, again, the whole concept here of practicing these triads is to stay within a certain parameter range. The bass is already limited, so we're just using that to our advantage, right? We go from E to G, and that's as low, obviously, unless you have an extension, that's as low as we're going to go, and that's as high as we're going to go up here, right? Eventually you can go higher, of course, but we just want to keep this all. And if that's too much, you can make your cap E. Any of my students know what we're talking about right now. Like constricting your parameters. You could make it E. You could make it C. You could practice all these triads this way. The point is that you just have to have them under your fingers. Doesn't matter the range too much, right? You want to have all of those just second nature under your fingers. So let's do the minors though really quick before we have to go. I'm going to play through this one, and then I'll jump on the comments, see what people are saying, see if we can have a communication that way. But for me, I'm just going to practice my minors for a little bit, and then we'll do that, okay? So I'm going to start, same thing, cycle of fourths. We're doing the same triads, just minors. So we can't do E flat, so we're going to start on G. 1, 2, quarter notes, go. F. B flat, so F is our lowest note. So think about where we're going. We're going to E flat, so G flat is our lowest note. An A flat minor. D flat minor, so E is our lowest note. If you want to call it F flat, sure will. Coming up to G flat minor or F sharp minor. F sharp minor just seems righter, more correcter. I don't know why. B minor. E minor. Of course, we're coming up to A minor, so E is the lowest note. D. So F is our lowest note in the D. And then G minor. We're back to C, right? Cool. So another great way to practice that is going through and doing them in eighth notes doing them high to low. And so next Monday, we'll be back again to do this guided practice session. We're pretty close to the end of the time that I'm allowed to go today, I think. But so I do want to hop on the live chat and see if anybody not used to the range, they get the concept, but can't keep up even with quarter notes. Oh, okay. So I'm just going to address the last comment first, just because I just saw it. This is from Piano Man. So the range restriction is just, it's idiomatic to the bass. Low E is is the open string that's usually associated with the bass. You can of course tune that down. Some people have extensions, right? So you could play down to a C, maybe lower these days, I don't know. And then the only idea with the high end restriction is that G is pretty much the range that's typical in a walking bass line. Of course it goes higher. Sometimes it's just not, it's kind of arbitrary for G to be the high end cap. I think it goes along with maybe more of an experience of just knowing the bass a little bit more. So that's the only reason of the restrictions, the note restrictions that way. And it's the idea of you can set your own range as well. Again, if you want to make C, or even if you want to, Ron Carter had a great exercise where you just stay in the half position right down here, the first 3 notes available on each string, and walk a blues that way. But you could do the same thing with scales, of course. Or arpeggios, or triads even. So it's kind of where the concept comes from, just trying to rein in our parameters and keep that under our fingers. The next thing from the next thing that the one fun, like, tasty thing that you can do with this really quick is to mix and match arpeggios, or mix and match triads. And I don't want to get too into the weeds, but I just lost my video for a second. I'm back. I don't want to get too into the weeds, but you can mix in major and minor thirds, and you get some cool effects. So if I do that, if I do in C major, I have E and E flat, and then also G and C, I get something like this. Like a sharp 9. But by doing that kind of back and that mixing and matching, you can get some really interesting sounds. Same thing if you do augmented. If you want to call that a flat 13 sound or something of that nature. All right, so let me dig in. Okay, cool, Piano Man, you heard me. Excellent. Am I using an extension, Sims Torres? I'm not using an extension. My E is tuned to low E. If you are using an extension, of course, you could play lower and make your range, you could make your parameters a little bit wider. But the whole exercise is geared around staying in like the meat and potatoes part of the bass, getting the low end and in the mid-range a little bit, just to get real comfortable with that. So it's a great daily exercise to do. So no, I'm not using an extension. Most economical... Yeah, okay. Shashank Das. Unrelated question, if that's okay. What are some time and rhythm exercises you do to solidify your quarter note? Okay, so here is a good time for me to plug some other stuff that I have on Open Studio. We can definitely talk about that for sure. But first and foremost, I want to say everybody check out the new Christian McBride course that's coming out. It's about to drop very soon, I think next month. I've seen it. It's beautiful, of course. So go check that out. There's so much good information Christian talks about. It just drops incredible knowledge and has a great back and forth conversation with Mr. Carl Allen, where they just say some stuff that everybody here needs to hear. That being said, I also do some guided practice sessions related to both of Christian's courses, Fundamentals of Jazz Bass 1, and then the upcoming one, which is Fundamentals of Jazz Bass 2. And I talk about solidifying quarter note and really internalizing your time that way. Long story short, what I do, what I like to do is set my metronome on very, very slow. Like I'll set it on like 20 or sometimes slower depending on what I'm doing. And then I will call that like the first beat of every 2 measures, or practice very, very slow. So try to give yourself less information from a metronome, basically, while you're practicing. That's what you can do if you're trying to practice with a metronome. I think the best thing that you can do to solidify your time in your quarter note is to play along with recordings. So I'm sure recordings come to mind if I say, what's the most swingingest album you can think of? Or like the most swinging track that you can think of, or bass players in particular, or drummers in particular. So play along with those recordings. That's the best. If you get a basic idea of what the chord changes are, then you get to play along with the drummer and the pianist, the soloist, learn the tunes. It's a great way for learning tunes too. It's all in the recordings. So I think that's a really, really good one. I'm going to jump up to the first comments and try to sneak past the ones. The audio is not in sync. Yep. I'm not seeing your lips move when you speak. Sorry about that. Yep. Audio. Oh, I seem really nice. Thank you so much, Colleen. OBS. I'm not using OBS. Maybe you should disconnect and reboot. Thank you, Joyce. Yeah. Yep. More than 2 minutes. Looks and sounds great. Excellent. Okay, so more on trying to get past the lag comments. There's so many of them. Thank you for... Okay, so Shashank Das, you also had a question about, do you have certain standard fingerings for all your triad scales? Yes, I can definitely share that at some point. We'll figure out how I can do that. But I think it's really important to come up with your own. But the main idea is, going across, keep the fingers the same. Anytime you're doing a major third, you can only go from like 4 to 2. If you're doing a minor third, you can go 4 to 1 or 1 to 4. I know this seems really broad and I'm going over it really quickly, but so we can definitely talk more about that. Let's see. Thanks for hanging in there, everybody. Yep, practice your chords and scales while we wait. Take 2. Hey, thanks everybody. Okay, yeah. So hopefully that seemed to be all the content questions that we had. Again, I'll just put up really, really quick. This is like the main idea of what we were doing. Okay, so we're just going around the cycle of fourths in quarter notes. The tempo is, do it as, whatever tempo makes sense to you, of course. If you do it in eighth notes, the metronome is gonna move around a little bit, because they're not all even. They're not all in groups of 4. So from the low end to the high end, back down and into the next key. Low end, high end, back down. See the arc of all of these? Back down. Okay? Cool. So hopefully all of that makes sense. I'm logging out now. Maybe I've already been ended, but okay, here we go. Thanks for joining me. Take care. See you next